In this video, the auditor is following audit trails related to measurement system analysis while they are auditing on the shop floor, in particular focused upon variable measurement systems. Watch this video to see whether the auditor is undertaking an effective audit. So I just want to follow the audit trail then on the particle count measurement in this area. And you showed me earlier that you're using this device to monitor the particle count.
Yes.
First of all, can we talk about the calibration of this?
So we send it every year, annually, out to an external lab and let them make the calibration.
Right, okay. And have you got the certificate in here?
This is in my office, of course.
Okay, so we'll follow up on that. And then do you do any other periodic checks of this?
In-house, we do it, to be sure, we do it weekly, every week.
Right. And could you explain to me, what do you do weekly then? What's the process that you go through to do the weekly check?
So we have there certificate master. We compare it with this, and if it's in the specification, we know that the device works proper.
Right, okay. So again, maybe when we go back to your office, I'll have a look at that master sample that you use and the certification for that. So if you saw a high particle count then, what would you do in terms of reconfirmation that the instrument is okay?
The first step is what we do in this case. We recheck the system himself against the master to be sure that the measurement is proper and it fits.
Right, okay. And just show me, how would you go about recording that check that you do?
So we measure here 1 micron sized particles, 2.55 and 10 micron sized particles.
Right.
Also the humidity and the temperature, what we have here in the environment.
Right, okay, and I will follow that audit trail for the monitoring of the humidity and the temperature in the area. So we'll go and have a look at that now. Okay, thank you. So the key learning points. When undertaking an IATF 16949 audit, the auditor should audit where the process occurs. In this case, production. The auditor is on the shop floor and they are following audit trails. The auditor identified that the organization has a particle count piece of measuring equipment that has recently been introduced. And then following the audit trails, looking for calibration, and they ascertained that as well as an annual calibration, the organization was doing weekly checks to check for any drift within the measuring system, which actually is a verification of the measurement system, and it can count towards evidence of bias and stability in terms of measurement system analysis. The auditor checked that the master sample that was being used is traceable back to some recognized standard, and they took the details of that to follow up on within a later part of the audit. The auditor also needs to challenge the acceptance criteria for these weekly checks that were being undertaken, because that is not specified in IATF 16949 or in any measurement system analysis manual. That has to be defined by the organization. Also within manufacturing, it's essential that the auditor checks that the organization is managing the work environment. And it was ascertained by looking at the FMEA and the control plan. In this organization, one of the key things to control was the temperature and the humidity within the work area. So that was good that the auditor was focusing on, again, areas that have been identified as risk within the process failure mode and effect analysis. So let's summarize. Measurement system analysis is one of the key core tools within the framework of IATF 16949. And for measuring systems, we can have variable measuring systems and attribute measurement systems. In this video, we see that the organization was using a variable measurement system for particle count. Correctly, the auditor was following the audit trail, not only to check the calibration of this piece of equipment, but what periodic verification is done to check for any drift within the equipment in between the calibration frequency, which in terms of measurement system analysis can be deemed to be bias and stability. And in this case, the auditor should also challenge the acceptance criteria for any bias or stability studies.